Our final presentation for session 2 comes from Dr. Tala Fakhouri, who is the Associate Director for Policy Analysis in the Office of Medical Policy at CDER in FDA. Her presentation is called Regulatory Considerations for the Use of AI in Drug Development.
Good afternoon. My name is Tala Fakhouri, and I'm the Associate Director for Policy Analysis with the Office of Medical Policy at the FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, or CDER. Today, I'll be briefly discussing some regulatory considerations for the use of AI in drug development. But before I begin today, and while I fully acknowledge that I'm in the presence of AI experts, I would like to begin with some key definitions that we are leveraging at the FDA for the use of AI in drug development. For the purposes of today's presentation, I'll be using the definition that was created by the International Medical Device Regulators Forum, or the IMDRF, which has also been adopted by FDA's Center for Devices and Radiological Health, or CDRH. According to the IMDRF Key Definitions document, AI is a branch of computer science, statistics, and engineering that uses algorithms or models to perform tasks and exhibit behaviors such as learning, making decisions, and making predictions. The IMDRF also defines machine learning as a subset of AI that allows ML models to be developed by ML training algorithms through analysis of data without models being explicitly programmed. The IMDRF also provides descriptions of various machine learning models, including supervised and unsupervised learning, among others. And the reason why I emphasize the importance of these definitions here is because AI technology is relatively new. And many of the terms that we use in this field, terms like bias or validation, for example, are contextual terms that mean different things depending on whether you are trained as a statistician or a clinician or an engineer or a data scientist. So it's important for all of us to be on the same page and aligned in terms of some of these key definitions. Artificial intelligence health applications have grown rapidly over the past decade or so, and there are many reasons for this growth, some of which are described briefly on this slide. First, the availability of large data sets, and I have large in quotes here to just recognize that these data may be large for the health sector. They are relatively small compared to some of the other fields in which AI is used. These data are not just large and available, they are also diverse and multimodal. So we can get healthcare data or health data in the form of digital health technologies. We also have genomics data, we have laboratory data, and of course we have imaging data, all of which can be combined or linked or analyzed concurrently. And this can happen because we've seen improvements in data standards and improvements in data interoperability and healthcare data exchange. Of course, we can't deny the important role that increased computing power has allowed us to be able to use AI in healthcare applications, but also advancements in data privacy persevering approaches. And finally, and importantly, we're seeing breakthroughs in methods, whether it's deep neural networks or generative networks or variational autoencoders, the ability to also use these methods and integrate them into a causal inference framework that would enable us to understand the why behind an association of a drug and an outcome is really advancing this field in the context of clinical research. These drivers that are described here have really resulted in thousands of publications, and in fact, in a recent publication that looked at this specifically, here you're looking at the number of medical AI studies from 2005 to 2020 by medical specialty. On the left-hand side, you look at the number of studies that are found on PubMed using the search term machine learning or deep learning, and looking by year, and you see this exponential growth. Then on the right-hand side, the same search method that was used, but now followed by specialty. And what you can see is that there's a large proportion of these studies in pathology and radiology, as predicted. But also we see the use of AI in surgery, in psychiatry, oncology. So really the uses of AI have traversed many medical specialties. And these increases are really consistent with what we've been seeing on our side, and as has been shown today by some of my colleagues at CDER and at CDRH. So if you look at FDA's CDRH, they have authorized over 500 AI ML enabled devices since 1995, with a substantial increase in the past few years. And now if you look specifically on the drug side, we see uses that cross the drug development landscape, starting from discovery and development, where AI is used for drug target identification or compound screening. We also see uses in preclinical research in PK, PD, and toxicology studies. We see a large proportion in clinical research for dose optimization, for recruitment, for data collection and management and analysis of data, and including things like for counterfactual simulations of placebo arms and the use of digital twins. We also see uses of course, in advanced pharmaceutical manufacturing and all the way in post-market safety surveillance and pharmacovigilance. In fact, as was presented by some of my colleagues at CDER, we recently published a paper looking at the count of regulatory submissions for drug development with key terms machine learning or artificial intelligence from 2016 to 2021. By submission type on the top and then by drug development stage on the bottom. And what you see is this jump where we had one IND with a mention of AI in 2016 compared to 128 in 2021. When we look by drug development stage, we see the largest proportion of submissions. If you look at 2021, for example, the year 2021, 118 were in clinical research, which is the area where the use of AI has really been leveraged. The submissions with AI ML components have also traversed therapeutic areas, like we've seen in the paper that I showed previously from PubMed, with the largest numbers seen in regulatory submissions in oncology and psychiatry. However, despite seeing these increases in authorized AI-enabled medical devices and in AI uses in drug development, we know that there are challenges that may be hindering the field's ability to fully realize the potential of these innovative technologies. For example, we know that AI or ML approaches can only be as good as the underlying data. There's a scarcity of high quality, large scale, and fit for purpose data sets for development and testing. We know that there are issues related to identifying bias in these data sets and mitigating the bias in the data sets. And we also face issues related to poor generalization due to data set shifts, but also to overfitting to confounders. When we think about algorithms and models, there are known issues related to opaque or black box algorithms that really affect our ability to ensure transparency to users. And users in this context are not only the clinicians that may be, for example, using these technologies, but also to patients that may be relying on medical products that have been developed using AI. And of course, there are issues related to governance for these adaptive algorithms that learn from real-world applications, and a need for regulatory clarity in certain areas that we are actively pursuing at CDER. The unique strengths and weaknesses or challenges of AI may require, new regulations to be developed or old regulations to be altered. And this is exactly why advancing regulatory science in this context is very important and will allow us to explore how innovations like AI can tip the scale for patient benefit. The FDA has led some critical work in this area, particularly our colleagues at CDRH have really done some foundational work over the past several years to help promote both innovation and public health. In 2019, CDRH published a discussion paper titled Proposed Regulatory Framework for Modifications to Artificial Intelligence or Machine Learning Based software as a medical device. This was followed by workshops and meetings and an action plan for AI/ML medical devices in 2020. And then in October of 2021, CDRH published 10 guiding principles for good machine learning practices that are shown here on this slide. These principles were developed and considered for medical devices, but they really apply to diverse applications and not necessarily just to medical devices, but probably to drugs as well. And we on the drug side are actively working with our colleagues at CDRH to align on guidances and good machine learning practices to ensure consistency between our centers whenever possible. So if you look at some of these 10 guiding principles, if you look at the first one, multidisciplinary expertise is leveraged throughout the total product life cycle. This is something obviously can apply to all medical products and not just to medical devices. If you look at for example, number 5, selected reference data sets are based upon best available methods. This is consistent regardless of the application of AI. If you look at number 7, the focus is placed on the performance of the human AI team. This emphasis on basically the need for human in the loop, particularly as the product it poses a higher risk on the health of the individual. Then you look at number 9, users are provided clear, essential information. This touches on the issue of transparency, where clear information is available to the user. And then finally, developed or deployed models are monitored for performance and retraining risks are managed. And this comes to, to the nature of these algorithms being able to evolve as they are used in the real world setting. And the need to monitor their performance and be able to re-examine the risk with some of these changes as these models are deployed is a good principle to keep in mind. So we are currently working closely with our colleagues at CDRH, but also across the agency to ensure that a continuum of expertise exists to cover the use of AI across the spectrum of medical product development, and try to align between the different centers within the FDA as much as possible. Specifically for CDER, like I mentioned in the previous slide, we're actively collaborating with our colleagues at CDRH and at CBER and other centers on issues related to AI/ML in medical product development to ensure consistency whenever possible. CDER in 2020 developed an AI steering committee to help facilitate effective use and sustainment of AI in the center's decision-making and operations. We are currently conducting workshops, writing white papers. We hope to have a discussion paper coming out from CDER this year, an RFI, to be able to engage with external stakeholders on issues related to AI, ML, and drug development. And we're actively harmonizing and tailoring the 10 guiding principles that CDRH has published specifically to drug development, and trying different ways to support the development of regulatory science methods specifically for drug development. With our goal is to develop and adopt a flexible risk-based regulatory framework that promotes innovation but also protects patient safety. Look forward to having a conversation with all of you on this topic today. And thank you.